Welcome to List Lab, the channel where we explore fascinating lists on everything from the weird and wonderful to the wild and unbelievable. Today, we are diving into some truly bizarre street entertainment. If you love discovering unusual facts and surprising stories, give this video a thumbs up and let us know your thoughts in the comments. And if you want more lists like this, make sure to subscribe and hit the bell so you will never miss out on the latest from List Lab. All right, let's get started. From breakdancing to planking to sidewalk gardening, today's streets are full of weird and wacky activities. But if modern pastimes, in an era of deep poverty and few safety rules, Victorian street performers pushed limits to thrill their crowds. Let's dive into 10 of the wildest ways they entertained their audiences. Number 10. Breathing poison. One of the bravest street performers was a fire eater called the Salamander. His act included some crazy stunts that would even make a circus performer nervous. One of his tricks was lighting a plate of sulfur, breathing in the smoke, and then eating the sulfur itself. Though he said it tasted nasty, the sulfur was actually the safest part. The real danger came from the smoke, which was filled with a gas called sulfur dioxide. Breathing it could burn your throat and lungs. Salamander's act also included eating sealing wax, which he said tasted pleasant, and even riding a slide while wearing a belt of fireworks. Number 9. Holding explosives as they went off. The Salamander's most dangerous trick involved gunpowder. First, he would strip to the waist, and his assistant would pour gunpowder down his neck, along each arm, and into his hands. Then the assistant would light it, sending fire racing down Salamander's arms in an explosive finish. Although he claimed to have been lucky with this trick, it often left him with burns and peeling skin. Number 8. Killing rats with your teeth. In Victorian London, people watched matches where dogs killed rats in a pit, with bets on how fast the dogs could snap each rat's neck. But sometimes people got in on the action too. Desperate for money, Salamander once tied his hands behind his back and competed with a dog, using only his teeth to kill over 24 rats in minutes. His technique was to bite them behind the neck. It was as gruesome as it sounds, and he did it all for the prize money. Number 7. Puppet murder sprees. The puppet show Punch and Judy was a popular children's show in Victorian England, but it was much darker back then. In these shows, the main character, Mr. Punch, often went on violent rampages. He would fight anyone who got in his way, throwing his baby out the window, murdering his wife. Although Mr. Punch's behavior was shocking, Victorian audiences loved it. Performers would even insist that his morals were just and true even if his actions said otherwise. Number 6. Building effigies of the clergy. In the spirit of bonfire night, London children built guys, or large dolls of famous people, to parade through the streets and later burn. Originally, these guys were meant to represent the infamous Guy Fawkes, but over time, the guys grew to include other unpopular figures like the Pope or the Archbishop of Westminster. The displays became more elaborate and were even built on floats. These parades were often rowdy and sometimes led to street fights, especially with London's Irish community. Number 5. In Victorian circuses, a performer known as Silly Billy would dress as a child, complete with frilly outfits and makeup. The act involved mischief and even stealing toys from children in the crowd. Adults often found this funny, but it also had a strange twist. Audience members would sometimes stick pins into Silly Billy's costume until his legs bled. While it was meant to be funny, it was as creepy as it sounds. Number 4. Taking sledgehammers to the chest. Victorian strongmen performed extreme stunts. One strongman, known as Senior C, would lie on the ground with a heavy stone on his chest. Then an assistant would break the stone with a sledgehammer. Sometimes the stones weighed up to 250 kilos and required multiple blows to break. The sight of a person withstanding such force was both thrilling and dangerous. Number 3. Picking up a live horse. Senior C, once tried to lift a live horse during a show. He hung upside down from the ceiling, wrapping a sheet around the horse's belly, and began to lift it. But as he did, the horse's blindfold fell off, causing the horse to panic and kick over lights and stage props. Despite the chaos, the crowd cheered for the show to go on. The strongman managed to calm the horse, but he later admitted it was one of his worst ideas. Number 2. Acrobat face-offs. Street acrobats were very competitive, and rivalry was fierce. One acrobat even introduced himself to journalist Henry Mayhew by bending over backward to touch his heels with his head, then walking around on his hands. Victorian acrobatics included balancing tricks, pole stunts, and extreme flexibility. Sometimes two rival groups would perform on the same street, trying to outdo each other until police arrived and ordered each group to pick a different side of town. Number 1. Reproduction murder scenes and souvenirs. Victorians were fascinated by crime, and souvenirs from famous murder cases were a hit. People would buy small models of crime scenes or commemorative mugs showing murderers' faces. One famous case involved a barn known as the Red Barn. After a brutal crime was committed there, traders sold pieces of the barn as souvenirs. These crime souvenirs were popular, with a public hungry for shocking stories, and are one of the strangest forms of Victorian entertainment. Victorian London was full of shocking, risky, and downright bizarre entertainments. These acts pushed boundaries and showed just how far people were willing to go to put on a show. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this look into Victorian oddities, be sure to subscribe for more strange history.